But let's bring our energies in and prepare ourselves for this grand adventure this morning. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And once again, go to that place at the base of your spine. This is the base of the spine, in the yogic traditions, is the root chakra, which is representative of basic safety and stability. And if that is a solid foundation, then everything built on top of it is solid. If that basic safety is kind of wobbly and sketchy, blinking on and off, then everything that we put on top of that is on shaky ground. And so each day, coming back to feeling that life energy which supports us all, that life energy which is the root of all of our growth, and breathing into it, experiencing that wu wei, that solid firmament that has supported us throughout this lifetime and supported all life on the planet. That's the well that we draw from. As Reverend Ike used to say, you can go to the ocean with a teaspoon or with a bathtub and draw from it, and it doesn't care. So take as much from this foundational energy that is available to everyone, and we're all connected there. Take your ball of light energy now, and as you inhale, bring it up your back to the top of your head, down the front of your body, back to the base of the spine, sending that sense of stability, of peace, trust in the universe to every vertebrae. As you go up the back, every vital organ. As you come down the front. This defrags your system. This resets all of things that might have gotten loose, felt out of alignment, gotten scared and frozen. There's lots of energy available here in this room, in this training, and that energy knows exactly where to go in your system, knows exactly where you can use some support and reinforcement. It's also kind of tricky in that it knows where your hidden buttons are, and it's heard your commitment to clarity and growing, and so it's going to seek out those hidden buttons. It's not malicious. In fact, it's a great gift that we can leave here having released the things that keep us contracted. Imagine now that that has happened, and you have had the courage to go through everything and even more than you anticipated. And you feel that sense of freedom in your body. You feel that sense of accomplishment. You had an intention and you had the courage to fulfill it. Take a deep breath, a sigh of relief. Wow. The work is done. In our school, the first year of our program, what evolved for us was a prayer that helped circumvent all of our mind's ideas of what we needed to go through in order to feel okay about ourselves. And the prayer went like this. You can say it to yourself silently in your heart. I now grant myself the feelings that I imagine I'll have after I go through what I think I need to in order to deserve them.
Would you please say that again?
Oh, yes. I hear the chuckles in the room. That means someone got it. I now grant myself the feelings that I imagine I'll have after I go through what I think I need to in order to deserve them. So in other words, rather than holding my breath until the end of the week, until, wow, it's done, I finally went in the muck in the pond and breathed and survived. Or I finally did a wet breath work. Are you kidding me? Whatever it is, I've done it. I feel proud of myself. I feel the courage to take whatever comes next. Not because I know everything, not because I can peek around the bend and see the future. It's because I can be in the present. And the present is eternal. And I will always take the next breath. Grant yourself as much as you can, whatever acknowledgement and feelings that come with self-acceptance and inner acknowledgement. Give a prayer of thanks and gratitude to the Spirit of Breath, which has brought us together and will be with us throughout the day and throughout all of the days in our future. Aho. Aho. Few deep returning breaths and bring yourself back. So today we're going to do an exercise which I consider one of the most important for a breath worker. It's a tool I call Holy Vision, which I've mentioned already several times, and which in one sense will be no surprise. It's like, oh, I know all about that. I've heard that before. It's eminently simple, and it will take the rest of your life to master. Because we've been steeped in exactly the opposite. We've been steeped and wired in our system to judge. And the belief is that judgment will keep us safe. Oh, there's a kind of person eating that kind of food. Woo-hoo. Don't be at their table. Or there's that person dressing that way, or using that kind of language, or just being the way they are. And if I am acute enough in my judgments, I'll know who's safe and who isn't. And I'll be with my kind. And I'll make sure that our kind isn't invaded. So this is the history of humanity. This is read the history books. You know, the Peloponnesian Wars, the Troy versus Athens. And that philosophy of nuclear deterrent, that if we get a bigger stockpile of things that can wipe out humanity, then the next country, they'll be afraid of us. And we'll be safe. And that's the way to world peace. Now, I mean, when I put it in such grand terms, of course, you think, well, that's ridiculous. We're not creating safety by building up defenses, and defenses that are predicated upon our judgments of other people and their intentions and their behaviors. No, we shouldn't be doing that as a country. But yet, the domain over which we have been given sovereignty, our own mind and our own body, can still be operating with much of that deterrent philosophy. Now, the tricky part of doing this work this morning is if you're really willing and you really jump in and you really do it, you're going to be recognizing, ooh, I've got a lot of judgments. I've got a lot of judgments which have been taken on, not because I'm a bad person, not because I'm essentially deficient, but because I'm a human being and I've participated in human culture. I've grown up in a family. I've gone to school, my educational system, and so we accumulate these things. As I said, enlightenment is not about learning something brand new. It's about peeling away layers of knowledge to get to truth, which was always there. And so that's our goal. It's getting down to our truth of our true safety with one another. Yes, this town is big enough for both of us, that we can walk the planet anywhere carrying that safety. Or does that mean that I'm going to go down in so-called dangerous neighborhoods? And no, I may be called to, though. And if I'm called to do that, I take with me my inner security blanket, which is my connection to source. So, holy vision is the ability to see another's ego. In other words, it's like seeing their picket fence. Okay, I see that they have these beliefs and these judgments, but so do I. I see through the hole. It's holy vision. I see through the holes in the fence, and I see who's living on the other side. I see the spirit that is there, and I know that's who they truly are. And I know, like me, they've created a picket fence around their cottage, which they think is going to keep out the predators. It's just a picket fence. But the better we get at seeing our own picket fence and not letting it impede us or separate us from others, the better we will be at serving others. Because we're not getting stuck on the periphery of who they are. We're not seeing them as essentially that personality, that defensive person over there, that person who's got negative and limiting beliefs. You recognize, okay, that's a reflection of a part of us. Big whoop. Who are they really, and how can I serve them? How can I serve them in a way that makes an essential connection and doesn't disrespect their ego? You don't want to just like getting into breaking down that picket fence and tromping through and I'm here to save you. That's not always met with great welcome. And even as a breath worker, I recognize this, that sometimes I see the beauty and the wonder of the person that's coming in, and I might start talking to that, and they're insulted. Don't you see I am a scared, traumatized person? Don't go telling me about what a wonderful human being I am. And that is my mistake. It's my mistake to go in, not to see them as whole already, not to see them as complete as they are, but to imagine that just by bypassing their ego and bypassing their picket fence, that they are all going to lay down their arms and hallelujah, I'm saved. My breath worker sees me. So we gain expertise because we've had to go through this process ourselves. We've had to recognize our traumas. We've had to deal with our fears. And it took time. And we can grant others the respect for the time they need to do the work. Okay? So holy vision isn't about beatific floating around and dinking everyone with your magic fairy wand. And no, it's work. It's work to stay with that. And when I start to slip into judgment of another, I recognize, uh-oh, they're reflecting some fear within me. And rather than latching on to that judgment, yeah, they really are a schmuck. You know, I agree with them. I think they are not worthy to breathe in my presence, or what, you know. So this is the tricky part, is that when I catch a judgment in myself, rather than either buying it wholesale and going into collusion with it, or beating myself up for it. And then I'm spending all my time judging myself for judging. You know, neither one is particularly efficient. You know, so in some religious terms, you know, judge ye not, be not a judgeful person, and all this stuff. It seems like, oh, that's a righteous thing, a way to be, a non-judgmental person. That's holy. That's what holy means, is that I'm beyond judgment. And no, it's not a good thing or a saintly thing to do. It is frickin' efficient. It's cost effective. It's something that will get you where you want to be a lot quicker than pretending holiness. It's honesty. Yeah, I have a judgment, and now it's given to me to dig beneath that judgment, find out what my fear is, own my fear, and make a decision around it, which doesn't become a barrier between me and the other person. Now, no one here is going to say, well, no, that's bad, or that, you know, everyone can agree with the philosophy, but we're going to practice it now with our group today, this morning. We're going to practice this holy vision process with the group that you started bonding with on Monday. And we're going to honor the judgments that we have about every person in that group. Oh, I don't have any judgments, but I like them. They're all wonderful. Yeah, that's usually the first stage of nicey nice community, you know. The fact is, and it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't come in here blazing guns, you know. It's good that we can do that. We're demonstrating our restraint and our social skills. But if we want to go further, if we want to really use the community and use the group that we're working with this week, we have to take another step. And the step is not about vomiting your judgments on other people. Sorry. In some schools, that's the way to do it. You just come right out and say, here's what I think of you. And here's the truth. That's not the truth. That's more your schmutz that you're offloading onto other people. No, we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be dumping our judgments on other people and calling that, I feel better. I got it off my chest. I finally told you what I really thought of you. That's, again, more defensiveness. That's just building up more walls. We're going to recognize the judgments that we have, and we're going to do our own work with them. We're going to dig deep and find out what is the fear behind that judgment that I have. And we're going to tell the truth about it. That then honors who we really are, as well as who that member of our group is. The exercise is, when I see you with the eyes of fear, what I see is, and when I see you with the eyes of love, what I see is. So when I see with the eyes of fear is not licensed now to dump your judgments on someone. Not at all. That's what terrifies people about this exercise. Uh-oh, I'm gonna be seen for the judgmental person that I am. No, you're gonna see the judgmental person, and you're gonna have compassion for that. If you don't have compassion for yourself, this exercise is going to be really hard. You are going to struggle with it. You know, how do I make this sound nice? You know, how do I not offend anyone? So it's not about sounding nice or flattering people gratuitously. It's about coming to the core of the defenses that I have carried around in the form of my judgments in life. We all have them, and I do mean all. We all have them. And once you get down with this exercise, it's not going to be just for this room. It's going to be for your life. You'll want to take it on the road. And it's not, you're going to hand 3x5 cards to everyone. Some people think I secretly have a stock in the 3x5 card business. Yeah. No, we're just using that as in the group last night that, had printed out cards, that it's a solid reminder of what my affirmation is and of what my truth is and what my needs are. So holy vision is the ability to see another's ego, that is their fear-based identity, and spirit at the same time to respond in a loving and helpful way to support their highest goals. To do this, we must be able to identify when we are operating from our fear and when we're operating from our love. Behind every value judgment we make on another, there is a projection of our fear. Behind every judgment we make on another, there is a projection of our fear. If you are ready to look at that, this is house cleaning time. This is truly liberation. And not every judgment we have is an indictment on our character. As I said, we've got to have compassion about this. We've picked up a lot of judgments in our culture, in our family. You might walk down the street or the aisles at Walmart or something and have a judgment on another person. And then say, oh, where did that come from? Yeah, what a bad person I am to judge that person for their appearance. And then, wait a minute, I might have been also picking up their judgments about themselves. They're walking down the aisle selling, I'm ugly, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. And are you buying? Are you going to buy that judgment and help reinforce it? No, you're going to recognize it and say, I see that you're holding that up as a way to protect yourself. And I see you with the eyes of love, you radiant being you. I mean, not out loud. That would be disrespectful at the time. But you say that, and you know what? Your world changes. You start walking around in the company of divine beings. And your vibration changes. And how people respond to you changes. They're picking up, this is a safe person. Unless they really are ensconced in holding on to their defenses and their self-judgments, then they won't want to have anything to do with you, which is okay. But for the most part, clients that are coming to see you, that are wanting to be your clients, that's what they're coming for. not your degree from the Therapeutic Breathwork program on the wall, proudly displayed. Your advertisement, your marketing ploy, and how to be a successful breath worker is your presence. It's the work that you've done this morning and will continue to do for the rest of the week and so on and so forth. This exercise will help us find and own the fears we project on others and release our judgments. The more effective we become at this, the better we become at creating genuine safety for others. In the group yesterday, we were talking about psychic sensitive people. They're picking up your judgments. You may be smiling and telling how wonderful they are, but they're sensing your inner energy towards them. Okay. So the more congruent we are, the more our smile is reflecting, indeed, our acceptance. The more congruent we are with ourselves, the more fun it is to be yourself, and the more safe you are with other people. Every relationship presents us with an opportunity to grow in love or contract in fear. Every person in this room is presenting you with that opportunity. And we're going to practice the tool. We're going to work intensely with it with our small group. But the homework is to do it with everyone. Take it home with you. Put it in your suitcase. So the exercise is this. In a few minutes, we're going to repair to our small groups as we've done before. We're going to work with the group, and people in the room are going to have a 3x5 card, 6 of them because there's 7 in your group. And so you got a card for each person in your group. You're going to write a little love letter to each member of your group. So in the beginning, there's no talking. Everyone is going to be busy writing out 6 love letters, 6 cards. And you're going to have the name of the person that you're writing the card to. And then you're going to complete 2 sentence stems. The first one is, when I look at you with the eyes of fear, I see, da, 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 da. And when I look at you with the eyes of love, I see, da, 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 da. Here's an example number 1. When I look at you with the eyes of fear, I see someone to whom I compare myself as not as likable or as smart or as talented or as comfortable and relaxed in their skin. And then I withdraw. So, well, that sounds fairly benign. It's like I'm talking about myself. That's it. Everything that you write on these cards is about you. You are not talking about the other person. You're talking about reactions that are going on inside of you in the presence of that other person. You're not talking about them. You're self-revealing. You're talking about yourself. Well, how did I get to such a lofty statement as when I look at you through the eyes of fear, I see someone with whom I compare myself as not as likable or smart or talented. Well, I might start out looking at that person as, they're fake. They're looking holier than thou type of thing, or they're pompous. They've taken more courses here than I have, or they're self-inflated. They've got a degree in something, or they're a know-it-all because they're continually telling everyone else about their wisdom. I mean, that would be the raw kind of like judgment that I'm having. But I recognize that. And I recognize, wait a minute, what's behind that? What's my fear? This is really a divine being who just is sharing experience, but I'm kind of like withdrawing from that. Well, why am I withdrawing from the fact that they're taking the time to share something that they know? Well, it's just because they're a pompous fool and they're a loudmouth and no, wait a minute. What's behind that? What's the real reason that I'm putting that judgment on them? and I'm withdrawing. Well, I was taught not to blow my own horn. I was taught not to be a show-off. This actually is true of me. I was taught not to make anyone else feel bad by saying something that I know. And so when someone actually breaks those rules, when someone else is just out there, saying what they want, it's like, wait a minute, you're going against my family commandments of humility, false humility. You're not obeying the rules of what it is to be a nice person. And so you're striking some fear in me, because I don't often I hold back. Let everyone else talk first. Let everyone else share. And I'm seeing myself as not as courageous as that, not as brazen. And not that I should be like that person, taking up that kind of space in the room. No, I should be my kind of person and doing it in my way and feeling good about sharing more. So that's where I can say now, when I see with the eyes of fear, what I'm seeing is my own self-criticism, that I am not brave enough to be extroverted or to put myself out. Now, when I see you with the eyes of love, I see a mirror of qualities I've not let out fully and whose presence inspires you. So I own the truth that I accept myself. I do have the ability to share more freely versus my low self-esteem, which is, no, I'm just not built that way. I'll always be last in line. I'll always have this false humility. Really inside, I know better than they do. Really inside, I could tell them a thing or two, but no, I'm too humble for that. So whenever there's low self-esteem, there's always the opposite that's in there. And whenever there's the self-inflation, there's always the opposite that's there too. I've got to show you how great I am, and maybe if you believe it and tell me, I'll start believing it myself. What we're trying to do is get even. We're trying to get even with everyone. And getting even in the right sense means we're all on the same playing field. We're all bozos on the same bus. We all got our own shtick. Big deal. Holy vision is the great leveler. So I can walk through the world, not with seeing the haves and the have-nots and the bright and the dumb. All that just keeps me separated. That's what I mean by being cost effective. This holy vision really cuts the crap. And then more of my energy goes into domestic affairs rather than the defense budget. I accept. I am the president of my own universe.
That you are.
Yeah, and you are of yours. That's the deal. That's the great leveler. I don't have to try to feel good about myself by dominating you. And I don't have to feel safe by submitting to your dominance. So you won't hurt me. And I can just secretly judge you. Coming out. Second example. When I look at you with the eyes of fear, I see someone courageously expressing feelings in a way that I have suppressed and that frighten me, the feelings that frighten me. So again, my first judgment might be, oh, that person is too dramatic. Or they're self-centered. They just want to be the center of attention. They're too loud. Or they're attention-seeking. I mean, that's my family projection on them. They're not saying, oh no, after you, sir. ma'am, or, they're stepping out there and saying what they want. So again, I notice that judgment on the other person, and I dig deep, and I see someone whose courage to express themselves invite me to challenge my inhibitions and grow past them. So I start owning my truth, which is my responsible, open expression. Again, I'm not saying, oh, I should be just like you. I'm saying there's a part of you reflecting a part of me that I've suppressed. This is not about, oh, we're supposed to be like everyone else. It's the essence here is that there's some expression there that's buzzing inside of me, and I have to own my way of doing that. I have to own my unique way of expressing myself more fully, more freely. And outwardly, I may not look any different than I did before. But something has changed inside of me that is more self-accepting. Something is changed inside of me that's not afraid that if I don't understand something and ask a question, then I'm going to be embarrassed or sound stupid. I may not ask any more questions or raise my hand, but it's not out of fear. It's because, hey, I'm with the program. I get it. And I know that if I had a question, I could raise my hand and be okay. So this is an inner transformation. It's not that we all are going to walk around after the exercise, we're floating on a cloud. It's not holier than thou. I'm the same bozo that I was before. It's like in the Zen tradition, there are the 10 circles of enlightenment. And we're walking through them. It starts out with a guy sitting in the marketplace with a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread. And then the person goes through this whole process of self-discovery, finding about the truth of who they really are, to find the eternal bliss that's within them, the union with the divine spirit. And then they come back and they're the guy in the in the marketplace with the bottle of wine and the loaf of bread, and pretty much the same, but something has transformed. Something has transformed inside of them. So I write a card to Lenny, put his name on the card, and I say, Lenny, when I see you with the eyes of fear, I see someone who comfort with their body and their music and their sense of joy and in listening is something that I will never attain because I'm not that musically inclined. When I see you with the eyes of love, I see a brother who has brought something into my life and into my community and into my world that truly delights me and inspires the fun and freedom that I can have with my music. Yeah. And so I didn't rehearse this. In the old days, I'd say I'd do this with anyone in the room, but we don't need to do that. I think you can do this with anyone. You'll do it in your group and bingo, it'll just come to you. It'll come to you. When I looked at Lenny just a second ago, it hit me. Yeah, he's got something I don't. But then my mind could go to, well, I've got a lot of things he doesn't too. And what the heck? Just because he's got wonderful playlists, big deal. Any schmo can go on iTunes and pick up that, and all of a sudden I'm off into creating separation rather than recognizing, no, there's a brother there that's got something for me. And if I get past all my schmutz, bingo, I feel a deeper connection, which actually I do at this moment with Lenny. Yes.
Jim, and I'm just going to put this out there. And it's when I look at this process through the eyes of fear, because I'm going to be one of the online folks.
Yes.
I see something that's a hurdle for me that I'm unfamiliar with, and that it's more difficult for me because I'm not as adept with electronics and whatnot, and not as connected with folks online as I am with folks in the room.
Mhm.
When I see this process through the eyes of love, I see an opportunity to reach out, to grow within myself, to reach out to my brothers and sisters online and expand my world and my ability to love.
Thank you, Benji. That's beautiful. So that Andy is just demonstrating what this exercise is about. It's about taking down our barriers of fear by acknowledging them, by owning them, and seeing what the gift is underneath. Oh, but that's not enough. No, there's more. You write down what you write on your cards in your own journal, because we're really going to drill down here. So what you're dispensing, both your fear and your love, you write it in your own journal. Write it down. And then you pass out the cards. So when everyone has written the cards, when everyone has transcribed it in their journal, then you pass them out. And you're going to read now what you have given and what you have received. And here's the intuitive part of this exercise. After reading the cards you receive and reviewing the messages you sent, you complete the following 2 phrases in your journal. The 2 greatest fears I project onto others are, and the 2 strengths I have in seeing with the eyes of love are. Okay, so you're filtering now. You're going to take all this material and you're going to get down. Let's see, what's the bottom line here? I said this to Lenny, I said this to Andy, I said this to Jane, I said this to Laura, to Mike. Now, what seems to be one of the root fears that is going on that I'm putting out to all the people close to me? And then, what did I say to them? I saw what their fears were and what they were saying to me. What is my strength? How have I already developed this holy vision? When I said that I see them with the eyes of love, what can I acknowledge that I'm pretty good at that? In fact, I love doing that. That's something I came to this planet to do. So each person writes down their 2 greatest fears and the strengths that you have in seeing with the eyes of love. Then you're going to go around and share in the group. Each group member in turn reads to the group their 2 greatest projected fears and their 2 strengths in seeing with the eyes of love. You're not going to write down all your cards and all the cards you read. You're going to condense it down. So each person is just going to say, my 2 greatest fears that I project onto others are these, and my 2 greatest strengths in seeing are. Now, once I've done that, say I'm the first person in the group and I just did that, I shut up and breathe, and my group members are going to go to work on me. They are going to write an affirmation that helps me reinforce my strengths. That helps me really get it. So I did this work on my own, but they're going to sock it to me in terms of really seeing this is your strength. The affirmation is always done in the present tense, in the affirmative, rather than you're no longer the schmuck that you thought you were, Jim. No, and it's not outlandish. Oh, Jim, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Everyone loves you. The mind isn't buying that stuff. It's just the right stretch. An affirmation it's the second greatest tool besides the holy vision. Do not belabor this. If the group gets into who's the cleverest and who's the best at affirmation writing, you jump back into the judgmental pool. Work together as a team. There may be one person that is very good actually with the words, and another person that's very good with the spirit, and has a sense, it's not quite right. I don't know what is right, but let's stay with it. Yeah. So each person contributes to writing that affirmation. And ta-da, an assignment. You are given an assignment by your group to be completed by Friday morning. Say that I was having trouble accepting what I have to offer as a breath worker. And so my group gives me the assignment to check in with 2 people and ask them what they loved about my work with them. Woo-hoo. We don't do that in my family. Okay, so the assignment, again, like the affirmation, has to be it's not too tough. It's not like contact everyone in the group and have them write an affirmation for you. It's like, come on, we've got to complete this by Friday morning here. Let's make it simple enough, but poignant enough. Okay, that makes sense. It's got to be something that's got a little teeth in it. It's not like, oh, write down 3 things you like about yourself by Friday morning. No. So a little bit of a stretch, just a little bit of a stretch. And again, as a group, you'll feel it. You'll feel like, yeah, okay, this is right. This is the stretch for Jim. It's going to be different for each person because then the next person goes. So when you're handing out assignments, know that you're going to be getting your assignments too. Okay. All right. So again, this is a great exercise in team spirit. This is about how can we work as a team so that every one of us in our group is feeling enhanced, is feeling really supported and loved. Not loved in, oh, you're so great, oh, you're wonderful. No, but loved in a way as I see who you really are, and I see what you're here to do, which is to acknowledge that, to have it grow, join the family. Any other questions? Excellent question, thank you. What the person is to do while they're creating the affirmation is to breathe and to be there. You can also say, if someone hits the nail on the head, you could also say, wow, that strikes home to me. So you're participating in it, but you don't get in and micromanage the thing. Okay. Yeah, same is true with the assignments. As I said, it's simple in theory, but it will take us the rest of life because there will be 1 or 2 people perhaps in our life that we think is the exception to the rule. This is the person I can't see holy vision. You could do this exercise with any being, even that you've never met. Right? Seeing with the eyes of holy vision is a gift of yours that can't be taken away by anyone else. It does not mean giving approval to their behavior. It does not mean even liking them. But it means granting them divinity in their spirit. It's not about, oh, now you can go anywhere or do anything. You have to respect where you're at right now. You have to respect your fears. You have to respect, but you can also tell the truth about that. Right now, I don't want to walk down this street in this town and da-da-da. It's not where I'm at. It's not where my neurology feels safe. But if I can create safety with this group right here of diverse people, some of whom I've never seen before, if I can do that and recognize what my projections are and own them, I will start to let my playground get bigger and bigger in life. I'm taking a tool with me that I could practice and know when not to practice. Know when, okay, I'm not ready for that one yet.